So, regarding my thoughts on rehabilitation, I feel that rehabilitation should be the second most important thing that the system attempts to fix. The first, definitely, being retribution for the victim, because I do feel like the victim should be compensated first, not monetarily, just compensated in some sort of way, and definitely taken care of first. But I also feel like retribution goes hand in hand with rehabilitation. And by stopping criminals from committing more crimes, we can also free up the resources needed to keep them in the system, to basically make sure that they rehabilitate. Also, most of our offenders will be back in the community following their sentence. So why would we want to torture them in prison and then release them back into our communities, around our children, around ourselves, around our elderly? You know what I mean? So I do think that rehabilitation should be as important or almost as important as retribution. And then regarding my views on rehabilitation changing, not really. I still hold our hope. I still hold out hope that we can change the way the entire system works. Martinson said in 1974 that with few and isolated exceptions, the rehabilitative efforts that have been reported so far have had no appreciable effect on recidivism. I personally feel that few and isolated exceptions are important and should be scrutinized instead of being cast off so that Martinson could basically be paraded around for people that only care about punishment. Because he's definitely from that school of thought, and they really did use him for that. Also, according to Rehabilitation's theory in the Encyclopedia of Prisons and Correctional Facilities, Martinson himself later retracted his earlier conclusions regarding rehabilitation programs, and his original essay was found to have serious methodological flaws. So there's that. As far as the relationship between rehabilitation and mindset, I like to argue this one from the probation officer's perspective, because following for rehabilitation, they're pretty much the boots on the ground. They're the most important person in that convict's life at that moment. So they're basically they're there for the convict, and I do think that they need to have the mindset of a coach rather than a referee, because a coach wants to build his team and he wants for his players to build themselves, and a referee just wants to monitor and call discrepancies whenever they appear. A coach has a very particular stake in the game, as it's his players on the field, and the referee just doesn't have the same intimacy that a coach would have. The probation officer that takes on the mindset of the coach is just going to overall contribute more to the convict and to the convict's rehabilitation, basically. Yeah, so these are my thoughts. If you guys don't agree with them, or if you do agree with them, just comment below. Thank you.